Hey everyone, welcome back to the Money with Mission podcast. This is your host, Dr. Felicia Fro. Please remember that we are sponsored by Money with Mission, whose vision and mission is that every woman have the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that is not in her best interest. We host folks on this show that can talk about money, talk about their own money story, talk about how they've come to make money and have money make money for them, which I hope inspires you to see that you can do the same. We do not have to be locked into our box of whatever we're doing right now. This podcast that you're about to listen to now with Dr. Dunbar is pretty exciting because she's got some really nice things that have happened and things you can take away about how to live life, how to think about things. Especially the one I'm thinking about right now is she strategically went into her jobs. I'm going to be here for about 5 years, and then I'm going to do this. Did it always work that 5 years she was moving on? No, but she had a plan. And we talk about that even folks going into big professions who you went to school for a long time, doctors, lawyers, engineers, all these folks that we go to school and we think we're going to be doing our thing for the rest of our lives. If we went into it with I've got this much time in this thing. What am I going to do after that? And it might not be, I'm going to be here till I'm 65, 70 and retire. I want to be able to take care of myself and my family with good money and a lifestyle we want in 10 years. Then you start working and thinking a little bit differently about how money is going to work for you. Okay, Dr. Valicia Brooks Dunbar is the CEO and founder of the Center for Confidence, an organizational consulting and leadership coaching firm in Jacksonville, Florida. She's a member of the MBA Advisory Committee at the Forbes School of Business and Technology, University of Arizona Global Campus, and is the Senior Research Facilitator for the Walker's Legacy Foundation in Washington, D.C. In this role, Dr. Dunbar supported the COVID-19 impact study, an initiative of the Gates Foundation to study the effects of COVID-19 on multicultural business women. She's a fearless advocate for small businesses, entrepreneurship, and creating economic equity for women. Dr. V is a recertification provider for the Society for Human Resource Management, an approved continuing coach education provider with the International Coach Federation, and a certified business technical assistance consultant with the state of Florida Vocational Rehab Program. She currently serves as the president of the Greater First Coast Chamber of Commerce. You're going to hear some things and how she's living out the stuff she's talking about here, creating confidence, economic equity for women. She's living that. She's walking the walk. I'm really excited for you to hear this. Welcome to the show, Dr. V.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Today we have Dr. Valicia Dunbar from Jacksonville, Florida. Is it warmer there than it is here in Lawton, Oklahoma? Because it is cold here.
It is so nice today. It rained a little bit yesterday, so it cooled off just a little bit, but we are expecting like 57, something like that today.
Oh, goodness. We're in the freezing. I want to keep my water dripping out of my faucet so that the pipes don't freeze.
Down to Florida. I always say I moved to Philadelphia about a decade or two ago. And, born and raised in Florida, had never experienced snow. Like I've been to places before and after.
Yeah.
Like it's warming up, but moved there, was in that snow winter season. I'm looking at these people trying to shovel and do all of this stuff. And I'm like, why? Just come to Florida. It's like, this is like torture. So yeah, I couldn't do it. I was there for a year. Loved it. Moved to DC after that. But if there's a choice, I'll have the winter home in Florida, the summer home in the north.
That's my goal too. I don't want to live in this cold. And I lived in Hawaii for 4.5 years. I lived in California. I've been more West Coast kind of gal. I don't know why Florida doesn't appeal to me. That's a whole
Really? No, I love California. I was there for just over a year when I was working for State Farm way back when, my first job out of college. And we were on the disaster team. So we responded. So I would be the person responding to the fires,
Gotcha.
flame side of it. Although there's nothing there, we could just write the checks from remotely. And I love just the celebrity kind of vibe and energy of it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was nice. That was really nice.
It's expensive, but I like
Oh.
the vibe too. I like the vibe.
All right.
We're going to keep chit chatting, but we're going to be more directed.
Go forever. Yeah.
Target it out.
Yeah.
So you are in real estate now and doing real estate development, correct?
Yeah.
How did you learn about money? How did you get there? You said your first job out of college was State Farm. Even before college, how did you think about money? What did your parents teach you about money? And then you can go on to where you got to today and thinking about how you're doing a lot of raising, you're doing the developing. Just give us that story. How'd you get here?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel so fortunate that when you grow up and your mom's trying to make ends meet every single week and every single month, and you can see that she's borrowing from grandma, and my grandmother had 6 girls. And so all living different standards of life, different professions. But my mother worked in a nursing home as a caregiver for these elderly people. So we didn't have a bunch of money to spread around 7, well, I'm 8, so 8 kids.
Wait, you have 7 brothers and sisters.
7 brothers and sisters. I'm in between all the boys. So I tell people I'm lucky to be alive. I was in between. Oh my gosh. They love to fight and toughen you up is what they call it. So,
Okay. All right.
so in between 4 boys, and yeah, just I saw the reverse side of money, financial planning and all of that is how do I get out of this? And that was always in my mind. Like, how do I not repeat this? How do I make sure that I'm not in this situation for the rest of my life? And when I went to college, I'd always thought about how do I work? How do I save? How do I minimize my loans? How do I control this early before I get into that kind of situation where I'm living paycheck to paycheck? So it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to make sure I got ahead of whatever my mother was experiencing.
Did your mom go to college?
No, she finished high school and became pregnant in high school. So she started a family very early, got married very early, and that was her life to try to be that caregiver. I want to honor her because she passed away a couple of years ago, but she said that the reason she married was because her grandmother, my great grandmother, not my grandmother, not her mother, but my great great grandmother who was raising her said you should do that. And so I think throughout her life, she had second thoughts about that decision and kind of just obeying what her elders told her. And that's how we were taught and raised.
That's very interesting. So she followed a path laid out to her by her grandmother. Sounds like you should marry this. You're pregnant, marry this man, da 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 da, be a wife, da da da. And she, from what your perception is, some second thoughts about that. We won't even call them regrets. Second thoughts about that and how she's lived her life. And you feel like that got passed to you of, I've got to do something different here. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely.
It's interesting. My mom did the same thing. My mom went to college, and she married a man, my dad, and there was a whole thing, but it was always that you need to be able to take care of yourself. Don't be counting on a guy to take care of things for you because that's not a good plan A.
And it's interesting, she was the oldest, and so the next oldest to her, she did go to college. She became a nurse, and so it's interesting that we were learning by observation.
Yeah.
What not to do.
Did anybody, your aunt, your mom's sister went to college? That wasn't foreign to you, people going to college in your family. Okay, got it.
No. So it was split 50-50. Some just went straight to work. We lived in a small town in the middle of Gainesville, Florida, and Ocala, Florida. So the University of Florida is my alma mater. So it was 40 minutes down the road. My mother tricked me into going there because I wanted to go to Spelman. I understood. She wanted me close.
Far away.
Close to home. And so, yeah, some of them went straight to work and worked in factories or worked at the restaurants, just retail restaurants, all of that stuff. And 2 of my aunts went to college. One worked at the university all of her life and didn't even take a course, I don't think. She worked at the University of Florida.
Okay. So you watched your mom struggle to support you and your brothers and sisters, and you went to college and were in your mind is how do I not get in this place of having to live paycheck to paycheck. It's interesting because some people think that when you go to college, that's not going to be your lot in life. We go to college, so you're going to get a great job when you get out of college, and you're going to be able to live high on the hog, which we all know now is not true. But you even had a different thought process then. So did you have to take loans for college? Did you come out of college with student debt? How did you get through college?
Yeah, I had a combination of scholarships, work study, and I took out a very small amount of loans. My loan debt was, I don't know, for like 5,000 max, I believe. And so I was careful about, again, just acquiring that debt. I always tell the story of when I purchased my first car this senior year, and I'm getting these work study jobs, working 3 jobs at a time, getting off-campus jobs, needed a car. And of course, credit cards are all over campus. People selling.
Yep.
Well, I said, you know what? I'm going to get this credit card because the limit on it, I think, was $1,000 or $2,000, and it's only a little bit of payback every month. I went and put my first car on a credit card. I purchased my first car for $1,500 on a credit card. My payment back was like $100 a month, something like that. I was like, well, I'm not going to pay the minimum, but I'll pay a little extra. But I also understood that I still needed to spend. So I always tell people, you still need to get debt to get ahead. Debt's not a bad thing. So I cringe when I hear people speaking negatively about debt. Is how you
Yeah.
manage that. That's the part that you should be careful about. So I was careful not to acquire too much student loan debt. And I was careful that when I did make purchases, it was well within my control, 3, 4 layers deep. I lose one work study job, I have another one. Needed another scholarship, I have a little room to get another scholarship. So that was my logic. It's just to keep it balanced and manage it.
Got it. When you took that loan for the car, put that on the credit card, did you have in your mind how long it was going to take you to pay it off?
Yeah, it was going to be forever. So then I started paying back a little bit more at a time. I was like, man, I'll be at 5 years into my first job if I take this thing off.
My $1,500 car is good.
I've been paying $10,000 for that little thing.
Yeah.
Plymouth Horizon in great condition. I looked out. And so, yeah, I made sure that I put a little extra towards it. But by the time I had it was my senior year. So by the time I graduated, within the first year of full-time employment, I wanted to make sure it was paid off. Now, later on, I learned I probably should have kept it. But in my mind at the moment, you want to close it out as soon as you can.
Yeah. How long did you drive that car after you graduated?
Oh my word. I drove that car, like maybe 3, 4 years. And then finally gave it to my brother.
Wow.
And purchased a car. Now, also in my mind, I knew I wanted to own a home then as well. So when I graduated from college and accepted the offer at State Farm, and not in journalism, my major, because I interned and saw that they weren't making any money over there. And so I accepted the position at State Farm, went to Orlando, and I intentionally looked for apartments because I was broke. I was so tired of being broke. Looked for apartments that offered some money return on your rent if you purchase a home. And I looked out and found an apartment complex that said, we'll set aside a percentage of your rent and put those towards your closing costs if you buy a home. And I rented in that association just because I knew after a year, once I saved the money, once I had a year under my belt with the company, because I knew that to get a house, you need at least a year, that I wanted them to pay towards my closing costs. And that's exactly what happened.
Do they still have? I never heard of that at all. Do they still have that?
I haven't looked into it, but I keep telling my students, because I'm a career coach for HBCU students, I keep telling them that when you start looking for apartments, ask those questions.
I've never heard of that, but
I haven't heard of it either. And I never rented after that, but that was the only time I, heard of it and took advantage of it. It was great.
If you guys listening, if you're already on your house, but if you've got students, you got kids, that was worth the listen right there. Oh my gosh, I never heard of that. Okay. All right. So now you're working at State Farm. So it sounds like you had the same almost mentality of me, get a job. Now did you think you were going to be there forever and that was going to be what your life was going to be? Or were you, it's like, this is a temporary thing? How did that go?
No, I gave them 5 years. So I said, okay.
Was that your plan at the beginning? Or was that just like, this is a temporary thing right here?
Yes. I also knew from observing family that you were not going to live the lifestyle that you want waiting for other people to give you a check. So I knew I wanted to start a business and own my own business.
Okay.
So I said, okay, 5 years should be enough time to decide if I need to stay here and just want to get more experience and just save more. So it was always about saving.
Okay.
And so I said, I'll reassess this in 5 years if I want to start the business. And so in 5 years, I did, or it may have been 6. What happened is they were offering severance packages for people who wanted to leave the company. So they were
Okay.
starting to downsize their particular, well, they were reorganizing actually. Disaster teams were going to be a separate sort of structure. And so I was on the homeowner/disaster team. I also went ahead and got my agent's license there. So I tested as an agent and I would fill in for agents who were on vacation. So they
Okay.
taking advantage of all these opportunities just to see where I could land. Because the opportunity to own my own agency was an opportunity as well.
Okay.
And so 5 years, I started the company in the 5th year. And so, yeah, I think a year later, I just wanted to figure out how this marketing/event planning company, so leaning back into my journalism career, what
Okay.
this company could look like. So I started iRise Productions. 5 years out, rented, subleased an office from this company downtown that he was a contractor, whatever. And because I worked for State Farm and understood construction and estimating, and see all these things come back to you. So when I'm working on these development projects, I have an understanding of construction and pricing and all of that. And they don't know where that's coming from, but I know.
Yeah.
So with the company that I subleased from, he gave me a break on the lease because I was helping him write his estimates.
Okay.
Okay.
And so that worked out very well to where I had a low overhead and started to just build a client base around that.
So, okay. So a couple things came out there. Number one, networking and knowing, well, the biggest thing to me is using the knowledge that you've gained and you can use it across spectrums. Just because you were in insurance doesn't mean you can only be in insurance. What does this help me to do where I want to go? Your journalism degree. I started this, you said you started your company. I'm going to lean on my journalism, but that's not what I think of when I think of journalism. I think of newspapers and books and all that kind of thing. Like, but it's conversations and negotiating and all that stuff goes with it. You took all those skills and started your first company. I love that. And many of the people that are listening are professional physicians, lawyers, and I don't think any of us go to school and get our first job thinking we're going to let them do it for 5 years or do it for a certain amount of time. But I believe we can. Like, I think a lot of us come out thinking, oh, I've got this debt and I got to get this paid off and it's going to take forever. Yes, many of us do. We still can go into something with a 5-year, 10-year plan and be ready to do the thing that we're really put here to do. Many physicians feel like they're put here to be physicians. Amazing. The one thing I'm always saying is have a plan B.
Yeah, get ahead of it. Just keep all options again. And like you were saying, conversations and networking and understanding kind of your core skill set. For me, the thing that has carried me the longest, because I ended up in grant writing when I went back to get my master's, is the research piece of journalism. Understanding how to find information and data.
Mm-hmm.
That has been priceless over and over and over again.
Yes, just always look at all your skills, because as physicians, we are amazing at asking questions. You have to be good at asking questions. That goes across everything. Anything you do, you got to be able to ask questions. So I think a lot of us get pigeonholed. We feel we're pigeons. Like, I'm a doctor. What else can I do? I'm a lawyer. What else can I do? Come on, y'all.
Yeah, I would
Think
imagine.
big.
I would imagine research
And research is in everything. Research is in everything. Real estate development, research.
Yes.
A house, research. Investing, research. It's
And you can monitor. People don't understand the value of just knowing the process of collecting information and data. People pay for that. So yes, absolutely.
perfect. Okay. So you started your iRise, and what was that company?
So it was marketing and event planning. So
Okay.
my goal was to work with companies and organizations to plan events and to also help them to market their products and services.
Okay. And
So
then
my minor was in business. So I wanted to get some pieces of that incorporated into the journalism degree.
okay. So when did you get in the real estate space?
I'd say I got into the real estate space when I purchased my first home. So I was 22 and I closed on my 22nd birthday. I remember saying, I should save this. No one does that. So I closed on my 23rd birthday, had my first home. And then I stayed in that home. Oh God, the lessons learned that start coming at you when you start to get into real estate. I stayed in that home because I started traveling then with State Farm. So I started going out to was in Texas. I wasn't living in the house.
Okay.
My friends were living in the house.
Was
So-
this in California?
No, this was in Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Yeah. Disaster happens. We have to get on a plane and go or get in a car and drive.
Okay. All right.
So I purchased the home. Like maybe I was in it for 6 months before I was called to my first disaster response. We were a disaster response team. And it was voluntary, but you receive extra pay if you went. So again, I'm saving and understanding that I need a cushion here so that over the long term, I can make my own decisions. That's always what it has been. Allowed one of my friends to babysit the house for me while I was gone. And after I did that maybe 2 or 3 times, because I went to Miami, responded to one of the hurricanes there. I said, let me downsize. Let me just sell this house and just get a condo because we're 3-bedroom, 2-bath, grass and all that stuff that need to be mowed every week. Sold that house and downsized and got a condo.
Hold on a second. So first of all, do you remember how much your house cost? You're 22 years old and you're buying a house. So that's huge right there. How much did the house cost?
Yeah, it was $86,000 or $87,000.
And what
It
was your down payment?
It was out on the outskirts. Oh man, that maybe 3,000 to 5,000. I can't remember.
Okay. All
Because
right.
the company paid part of it, so it was
Okay.
not a lot.
That's right. Because you had
Yeah.
saved up during paying your rent. And so that helped to get, okay, got it.
Now, they put at least 2,000 towards. I do remember that was almost 2,000 in that account that they put towards the closing costs.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so it wasn't a lot at all. And maybe 2,000 was at my out of pocket.
You're 22. 22.
Yes.
$1,000, it seems like to me when I'm talking to a 22-year-old is a lot of money. Right now, you're like, it's $5,000. Okay, let's move on.
I was just so strategic about saving. And the other thing was, did I work like part-time outside of State Farm? Like I was like, I don't have kids and I want to get ahead of this poverty madness. Yeah, it was there in the account and I had it. And yeah, I was ready. I was preparing for it for over a year. So
I'm sorry. When your friends were living there, were they paying for things or were you paying for everything still?
yeah, I charged them a nominal fee because usually it was they were looking for another job or wanted to move to Orlando or something. So just enough to keep my conscience clear because I did do a free before and it didn't work out. Yeah, just small.
And they were helping you. I think you had in your mind, they're helping me because now my house isn't sitting there empty for somebody to come and rob my stuff. And
Yeah, I needed someone in that house. I
Yeah.
did.
Okay. So then when you decide, it's like, I don't even live here. Let me do something different. So you sold that. Did you make a profit?
I did not. So lesson 1, find a good realtor. And a good realtor is a realtor that actually cares about you making money off of the property, not them making money off of the property. Because I ended up sitting at the closing table writing her a check. And I was like, what went wrong here? And the guy across from me, because I sold it for less than what it was valued at, or I don't remember the dynamics, but I remember like her 6%, I had to write her a check for her 6%.
Okay.
And she wasn't marketing it. She wasn't selling it. So it was on the outskirts. And the realtor that came in with his client was just on top of it. And I remember it was rude, but I remember giving him my card and my phone number. And my realtor sitting over there to the left, he's on the right. And I say, here's my card and phone number. Next time I'm looking for something, call me.
Yeah.
Or I'll call you.
Yes.
And then when I started looking for the house, the other lesson I learned was I didn't go with him. I went with another local guy. But I realized that they will show you homes again that benefit them the most. I kept
Mhm.
telling him what I wanted. He kept showing me these places that just I wasn't interested in. And I realized these are places where he either has agreed, to show them for someone else, or he may get a better cut or percentage. That day forward from that second property that I purchased, I look for the properties myself, and then I just find the realtor to close and make sure all the closing documents are in order. And that's how I was with this commercial property, the 2 commercial properties I purchased.
Okay. We'll get to that. Okay. So you sold your house. It was sold. It wasn't the experience that you know now that you could have had. We learn our lessons as we go. You learned a lesson, moving on. You bought it. You then experienced realtors who still weren't on your side. They were working for themselves. And it happens, but that's not the way we want to work. We want to work with people who we can work with and who everybody's going to benefit to the most. You're going to get me what I want, you're going to get what you want, and life is going to go on. You bought the condo ultimately, and then you decided, how did you get into the commercial space and start doing all that?
Yeah. So fast forward. So I purchased 4 residential properties. So every time I moved, I just said, I'm not a renter. I'm not throwing my money away. I'm just going to buy a piece of real estate. And one thing that I always would look for people to be aware of as well is I look for properties in certain zip codes, the ones that were close or in proximity to high real estate districts.
Okay.
So I would find the property right on the fringe. So that's what the condo was. It was in Winter Park, Florida, a high rent district. And it was right on the fringe of the
The real high stuff.
high rent homes and stuff like that. So
Okay.
if you're in Winter Park, you're golden if you're in that district. And so purchased a condo there and then decided to go and acquire my master's degree. Wanted to go back to school and get my master's degree because I knew in the back of my mind I was going to get my doctorate. I hadn't mapped out, but I knew that I'm the kind of person that if I don't finish something and take it all the way to the end, it's going to bother me. I just knew I was that kind of person. So I wanted to go back and get my master's degree in Miami. So I actually said, well, I don't want to pay for it. So I'll apply for a job there first. And that was when I shifted into the fundraising space. The marketing company not really doing well enough for me to say I'm happy with the revenue and the clients that I'm bringing in. So let me just pivot for a moment because what people are sending me is really fundraising, grant writing, kind of sales. That like there's a sales piece to fundraising and grant writing. And I always say that because I had that piece, that sales marketing piece, that people sometimes know you better than you know yourself. That I had a very high success rate with acquiring grants. And the first position that was referred to me, or opportunity, again, I was on contract. So I had the marketing firm, but people were sending me like fundraising work. And so one of the first contracts I had was with this elder affairs agency as a contract marketing / grant writer, because it is a little similar. My success rate over their previous grant writers was through the roof. It was almost like 80% success ratio.
Okay.
And usually your success ratio is about 30, if you're good, 30, 40.
Okay.
But I understood how to sell. And that's how I would write the proposals. It wasn't technical to me. Like most people write grants and they're thinking technical. Answer these questions and be very technical and show the numbers, show the data. But people really want to hear a story and it's more of a sales pitch than people realize.
Yeah.
So got that contract. I had that contract for a while. And then because of that contract, actually transitioned to work for them full time before leaving to go to look for a job to Miami to get my master's. So
Uh-huh.
that's how all of that transitioned. And then when I got into Miami, purchased another property there using my same method. And then full speed ahead another decade, 2 decades. Now I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, married now, already purchased the home here, and now thinking, okay, I shifted really to understand that I want to help other women to create economic equity through entrepreneurship and creating a business around what does that look like? Business advising, business consulting, leadership development and coaching, and giving women confidence. And naming my company the Center for Confidence was the first thing I knew I had to take these layers off about helping women to believe in themselves. And out of renting my first office space in an incubator, I realized that these women needed safe spaces and spaces to feel comfortable to do their work. And they were also having these home-based jobs and they
Mhm.
running around town, dropping off packages or meeting people. I'm like, that is not safe. And I said, well, what if it's time for me to get out of this incubator. What if I just opened up this co-working space to help these women, to give them the safe space that they need. And so that was my first, venture into, let's start to look at what commercial investment, commercial real estate looks like, just wanting to help and reach out.
For the commercial side, it came out of this look, you looked around, you saw what was happening for women. You already had this thing for women probably because you are one and you've watched a lot of women struggle and build businesses and you did it and now you know how to do it. And it really can be just a confidence thing because we can make money and you're running around doing all these things like, okay, that's not safe. Got it. Let me ask you this about your other properties. Did you just buy a property, sell it, move to the next one? Or do you have all those properties still that you're making money with?
How many have I sold? 2. I still have 3. So how many have I sold? I think I sold, okay, I forgot about Atlanta. So it was hurricane season in Miami and I needed to escape home. So I purchased this condo in Atlanta. So that one I sold, I think I sold 2.
Okay.
I keep picking up, dropping, pick up, drop. So
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So you were buying and selling, holding. So you're having income coming from there. Now you're looking at this bigger picture and your reason to be here on earth sounds like, let's help other women get some confidence so that they can have a life and have options. Sounds like Money with Mission. Every woman should have the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that's not in her best interest. And you definitely got to have confidence for that one, right? It's not just about the money. There is some hard inside stuff that you got to have to be able to know, I don't need this. I will be able to take care of myself out here in the wild, wild world. It's huge. And knowing there are other women out there to do it or doing it, and knowing there are other women out there that when it doesn't work the first time, they're going to look at you and say, let's go. You got this. Yes. Cry, 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 cry. Get it out, get it out, get it out. Now let's go.
Well, the proudest moments, I remember this so clearly, was all of my friends thought that I was off or crazy. You are 22 years old. Why are you buying a house? You're not even married. And I kept telling them, but this is my dowry. Like, why would I enter a marriage with nothing? This is my investment. Well, who's going to live in it? Well, I don't know. We can sell it. And that'll be our contribution towards the marriage. We can either live in it or sell it. This is not a hard thing to figure out. And after that, at least 7 or 8 of my friends purchased their first home. I was just like, this is what I'm talking about, lady.
Yes.
That for them, that started that whole mindset shift around what we are thinking we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't have to show up in a marriage with nothing. Where did that come from? So that for me, when they started buying those properties and taking me seriously and looking at me like, oh, wow, she actually did that. That was just amazing. And they've all since then have moved to do bigger things for themselves and think bigger for themselves. And that's what I want all women to do.
Be in the light, right? You'd feel like I'm out here, I'm being crazy. What the heck am I doing out here? And then you turn around, it's like, oh, look, they're doing it. They're doing it. Everybody, and the minds are opening up. Oh my gosh, I was so scared. And now look at what's happening. When I first had my first person come and join my group, Wealth Builders, and now is invested and has bought their own property, rental property, and is invested in a bigger property that we have together. It's like, okay, you're on the road now. This is happening. And it is sometimes just having somebody to talk to, somebody who's already done it. It's like, oh, she's done it. I'm like, I know I can do that.
That part. And they just didn't see it. Their parents didn't, their mom didn't do it. Their grandmothers didn't do it. They just didn't.
Their network's not doing it. You got to hang out with the people that are doing what you want to do.
I mean, a network piece. Yeah. Find your tribe. Find them. And the internet now has done such amazing things to help to connect people, because I was just like working in a silo in my own kind of crazy head. But I knew that if other people were out there doing it, then what's the difference?
I can do
And
this.
what does age have to do with it? If I have the resources and the funds and I'm planning, it's absolutely doable. But be careful of people who don't have your best interests up front.
That's what I was just about to say. The internet has opened up the world to everybody. The scammers, the takers, I'm in it for myselfers, even if it's not a full out scam, They will leave you in the dust. It's happened to me. It's be careful. Go and find people. I don't think I would invest with anybody on the internet that I hadn't looked at and talked to and shaken their hand and know something more about them than just their internet presence. It's just
A research piece is good too.
research, yes, knowing their background, because I've done stuff just like, oh, it feels good. It feels like I trust them. And then I didn't do that second part. I'm like,
Favorite show. One of my favorite shows is American Greed.
I love it too. It's
These people.
and you're looking at, I was like, yeah, I probably would have fallen for that. That's me. I'm like, he's really good.
Yes. It's a teachable show. It teaches you a lot about how people's minds
Yes.
will take you for everything, and they don't care. Yeah, it's just horrible.
It can be scary. So you watch that show and you'll get scared and not invest, think you can't trust anybody, or you'll learn lessons from this show. It's okay, I need to pay attention to that, get this information back, because that's it. You want to be able to have somebody you can talk to. And if they're not talking straight to you, move on. There's something that's going on.
Ask questions. It seems like that whole part about that show is asking questions and not acquiescing to the first answer.
Yeah.
Just being in your feelings and your when we have this gift of intuition and sensing when things are off.
You don't listen to on a regular basis.
Sit with that. Yes, just sit with it for a minute. If something's not right, I'm just sitting there going, something's just, what is it? Just waiting for it to come to me, for me to see it, and it comes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been taken before. You guys just know, if you are in a deal or have been in a deal recently and it didn't fall apart, I've got two people that I knew well who were investing in things, and turned out that their whole investment thing was a Ponzi scheme. Two.
Like,
And these were not dumb people. They were not dumb people. And
they're
it's
smart.
just, it can happen. It can really happen.
They
So
are very smart.
it's be careful and know what you can stand to lose. Oh, that's a big thing too. Know what you can stand to lose. And you're like, I can't stand to lose anything. Yes, you'll be okay. You lose $10,000, you're going to be okay. It feels bad. I'm not going to lie. It feels bad.
I'm clean. $10,000. Oh, I'd be so mad.
I'm not saying you're not angry. I'm not saying you're not angry, but if you can stand, it's like, okay, I'm going to invest this. I trust this person. I feel good about this person. I've done my research. I've done all my stuff, and I can do this investment. And then it turns out you were wrong for whatever reason. Something happens, whatever. You're not going to lose. Your life isn't going to go away. Your standard of living is not going to go down. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, you're going to be pissed. There's no doubt about it. You're going to be pissed. You're going to be angry with yourself. You're going to be angry with that person. There's going to be a whole bunch of emotions going around, and you will be fine.
Yeah, isn't that on the flip side, it's such an amazing lesson learned that you can give to other women,
Yes.
pass on and pass it on in detail. One thing that I also try to share with the students that I coach is the real numbers. This is what I was making then. This is how much it cost then, so that they don't have this fantasy in their head,
Yeah.
this rolling fantasy about cost and what you can do in capacity. I want them to have a real framework around that. We're afraid to talk in real numbers.
I
You know,
agree.
I'm wealthy. I'm not even close to being wealthy, but I have the resources and assets in place when I need them.
And I can figure out where to get it if I don't have it. That's the whole thing. It's figure outable. That's a Marie Forleo word, but everything is figure outable. It is. Either it comes from your brain or somebody else's brain. It doesn't matter. Have a network and you talk it out, have the people you can trust, and you will figure it out. Coming to that, having that network, having that place where you can go, where you can feel safe, and these women can go and have their business and have other women to talk to about, you got something going on there. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. My crowdfunding.
Yeah. You're crowdfunding it for your workspace and all the stuff you're doing over there. It's exciting.
So when I left and started opened up the co-working space, I decided to lease first before purchase, because this was a historic landmark building. It was attached to mid-rise condo building, and then in the back was the commercial space. Perfect, because you can have traffic coming through. But during COVID sometime, we were coming out of COVID, it started leaking. So we had ceiling problems. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so glad I did not purchase this space. That I took the time to just that was the first time just gave money to this woman who was leasing, because I wanted to be sure that if I spent, I can't remember, what did they want, $350 or $400,000 for this space, that it was a good investment. And it was not a good investment. So I was so happy to walk away from that when those issues started showing up. I then immediately started looking for another property and looked out. And in our historic Black district, it's called LaVilla. LaVilla was the Harlem of the South. There's several Harlems of the South. That was the one for Jacksonville. And they tore it down in order to put a highway through it and to really just move people out. Beautiful, beautiful homes there torn down. And so on the front street, Broad Street, there is this one block of commercial spaces by the Masonic Lodge that are still there. And one of them came up for sale. This furniture company had been holding it for years, waiting for the city to decide on what they wanted to do with that space. And I purchased it. I think it was luck. I don't know what happened, but I know that once I closed on that, other people were still calling about this building. Right across from the courthouse. And so in a perfect position to be a front street, LaVilla Main Street enterprise. And
Okay.
my goal is to convert that into a commercial space entrepreneurship center with a residential unit in it for the co-working members.
Okay.
We're getting ready we've been working on the plan. So I'm learning this new part of working with architects, contractors, and all of that, because we have to gut this building and rebuild it from scratch. The other commercial space was usually I'll just buy it intact and I could just move in. This one is a major development project, and working with the city, permitting, safety, zoning, all of those people to bring this building to life. We are now at the phase where we have the drawings. We finally received approval from the fire department because we had the drawings. They were not happy with some of the number of exits and all of the stuff that you have to have in the building. But we're getting ready to launch a crowdfunding campaign to raise the capital to build this building, to cover the construction costs.
Okay.
And we're waiting right now for the SEC to approve it. And so we can't really talk about the campaign and all this stuff. You have to be close to the vest until they approve this project, because of course they want to protect the public and make sure that it's a legitimate crowdfunding campaign. But real estate crowdfunding, that is the new thing that I'm looking into now in terms of how to help us to generate wealth and equity. I'm publishing articles right now on LinkedIn about Black women millionaires before the civil rights movement. Madam C.J. Walker was not the only very wealthy Black woman in her time. There were many Black women. Sarah Spencer Washington, I didn't even know who she was, from Atlantic City. I was a very wealthy woman. But what happened to their wealth is my question, because I want us to stop repeating the same thing where the second generation, the grandkids, don't have any of this money, don't have anything to help them to have a leg up. They have to start over.
Yeah.
So I'm publishing those articles and talking about how community crowdfunding is going to be the new business model for us to start to reinvest in ourselves and in our communities over the longer term.
And why crowdfunding in general?
Yeah, because I like the idea of community investment, community ownership, as opposed to, and this is real estate crowdfunding, as opposed to all the other platforms that are like daily life need crowdfunding. The real estate crowdfunding platforms are starting to really gain traction. You have the business crowdfunding as well. So that's the other piece that I'm looking at also, is how do I help businesses to also have community investment in each other? That's a slightly different model on that, because it's not about, so for the crowdfunding piece, for the real estate has longer shelf life. Businesses, you don't know if that business owner is going to keep that business or close it.
Okay.
The goal is just to pay their investors back, and that's it. It's like a loan, but a community loan. For the real estate crowdfunding, it has to do with equity. So you can either have the equity in the building or have some sense of ownership in it that you have options around. I don't want to go into it too deep. So,
In general, crowdfunding is being able to invest smaller amounts of money to be a part of helping and
own to own larger chunks of real estate, to own
Yes.
real estate, and to have real estate as it grows and the value of it increases, that you own it.
So like it's like syndications. I know we've talked about that on here, except in syndications, it's a different SEC model. And it's usually for investors that are at a certain level as far as income and financial ability. Crowdfunding lets people with less income and financial ability. You don't necessarily have to be an accredited investor. You don't have to have whatever the things you have to have. I can
It's accredited or non-accredited. And so on this particular platform, investor, they allow non-accredited investors.
Unaccredited.
Means that you have, less of your income that you can contribute towards a campaign. And SEC is very particular about
Very
people not giving up more than they can manage.
percentage of it. So we're being edgy and hedgy on this because this thing is still being evaluated and it's got to be very, very careful. So we're going to give you how to be in contact, how to know when this thing is ready to go here in a little bit. We're not trying to not give you information. Yes, we are. We can't give you information.
Let's just back it out and just say that we're launching a crowdfunding campaign soon for the new LaVilla project, and to stand by for more information.
Okay. So you got that, you guys. So we may need to have a bigger conversation around this. So just hang in there. Okay. Okay. Back on. Okay. You've got this crowdfunding plan. You've got this for your next project. You're looking to crowdfund to get that going for people to have equity and part ownership in what you're doing. How do people find out about it once it's ready to go? Because the SEC is moving slowly. I think there's so many things going on in the government right now, and we won't even go there, but things are happening and the SEC is trying. They're working on it. The lawyers are working on it.
Yes.
How can people be in the know, be on the list so that when it's ready to go, they will get the information? And if they want to do it, they can get in there.
Yeah, so I launched the website, thenewlavilla.com. It's the project is called The New LaVilla. LaVilla, again, is the historic Black district founded by Black Union soldiers in 1866. I just love the history part too. I'm a history buff. And newlavilla.com, THENEWLAVILLA.com is the website that's currently up. And currently I've opened up working memberships. So the co-working memberships, we can go ahead and just launch those. Those are up on the page, but it gives you future renderings of the space, information about LaVilla and our approach to wealth development and wealth management. So it's an intro to us and the company and the people behind it so that you can see who we are.
Okay. And that's going to be in the show notes. So don't panic. Don't have a wreck trying to write it down. It will be in the show notes.
And I started the LinkedIn page. The LinkedIn page, The New LaVilla, is where I'm posting the articles about.
I was going to ask you that. Yes. Where can they find those articles?
Yeah, Black women who lost their fortune. So it's on that page and my own personal page on LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. You gave a little bit of the history of LaVilla. Is that block that you have that you were talking about where the furniture company was, is that all that's left of it?
No, so the land mass is still there. But in terms of those structures, that is the only intact block that remains. And then across the street is the Masonic Lodge, which was one of the first large Black-owned businesses there. And then you have empty spaces across from that. And then when you go down the other main intersection, Ashley Street, the old Stanton High School is still standing. It's a shell, but it's still standing. They're trying to figure out what to do with that. So there's, little pockets of buildings that are still standing. That's the only remaining intact block. And you have there used to be a Black woman who was she ran a mission or whatever. So that building used to be the theater. Now it's the Clear White Mission. So it helps the homeless. So they bring the homeless services in and things like that as well. And then a piece of it, the university took. So some of the public buildings took those spaces, which is what their intent was anyway.
Okay. I know, Mike, remember my question. If someone wants to help sponsor a woman in her business or to help her get her membership, is there a mechanism for that?
Absolutely. So that's interesting. So I did it for the crowdfunding piece, but yeah, actually I need to do it also for just straight membership piece, those who are not crowdfunding, but just want to sponsor a business owner. Let me put that together. Thank you, Felicia.
Yeah. And even because I think some people may want to do that, just not even as the investment is helping someone else do something, not necessarily I'm going to get a financial investment back. But I think we need to be able to help other people in that way too. It's just,
Thoughts for business. Yeah, I love that. And I believe I had in the other space. When I was launching, I had that. But yes, I can add that to this one as well.
perfect.
Yeah, thank you for that idea.
Yeah. We got to work.
Got to get it done. We got to
I'm
move
excited. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. We want to move fast. Just so you guys know the backstory, we've rescheduled this podcast conversation 3 times, 2 times, waiting for the SEC. And like, forget it. Let's just get it done. And we will have you on Dr. V's list so that you get the information once it's available and the crowdfunding is open. Now, you said I'd let it go by that you do coaching for students.
Yes, HBC students.
Okay, talk about that. And you're coaching them in what way?
Yeah, so I am a contractor to the LISC. If you haven't heard of LISC, it's the Local Initiative Support Corporation. It's one of the largest community development financial institutions in the country. And they have an initiative for HBCUs to have internships at their many offices around the country. To support their growth and professional development, there's a life coaching, career coaching, and financial coaching piece. And so I have the contract to bring that together to coach these students once a month, well, twice a month, once as a group, and then one-on-ones to help them to not only get prepared for a job, but also identify jobs. And then the icing on the cake would be to help them to land a job by the time they graduate. So this is our second year within that program. And quite a few were actually just rehired by the CDFI. So we're very happy about that. And then others chose to go to graduate school. So very happy about that as well. But we provide the coaching services. I'm getting DISC certified because they now want us to provide those personality assessments to them to help them to understand how people.
Yeah.
Seems to be something that comes up quite a lot in some of the feedback from the supervisors. But yeah, so we provide the career coaching, helping them to develop resume, career plan, strategy, also the life coaching and motivational coaching to help them to get the confidence they need, the self-belief that they need. One thing that I know, and then the financial coaching is to help them to understand their finances better and to start budgeting. Now, I will say that I'm not a fan of debt management, like I was saying very early on, but contractor that is working on the team was someone they had worked with before. So she's on the team, but my mindset around debt management is it's managed poverty. And so I don't want to teach kids how to manage poverty, how to stay where you are. I want them to believe in debt. I want them, though, to understand that it's how you manage that debt. When you acquire it, that puts you into situations that you're living paycheck to paycheck. So that is what I'm trying to help them to wrap their heads around, because everyone's talking about financial literacy, financial education, and paying off your bills, living within your means. And I don't believe in living within your means. I believe in growing and scaling manageably.
Making your means bigger. Let's make them bigger. And not by just buying a bigger house and making more money. You want money to have the mindset that money needs to be working for me. And it's just not just, I got to be running around the wheel to make money. No.
We are so risk averse. It's killing us, this risk aversion. You have to have a healthy degree of risk involved in order to grow.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's our motto right there for this. You have to have a healthy degree of risk to grow. You have to get uncomfortable to grow. It doesn't work. If you stay comfortable all the time in your bubble, talking to people you talk to that agree with everything you say, you're not going to get bigger. Your sphere is going to stay your sphere. And we are all out here to make our spheres bigger. And starting with these kids coming out of school, amazing. That's really, really, really exciting. Really exciting.
Love it. Love it. And they're so eager. And one of the things that keeps coming up with them that I'm noticing also is that they've never thought of this stuff. It's so foreign. It's so foreign. So just to introduce that to them at this stage, it's just like light bulbs going off. Like, what?
And people don't talk about money. When you don't have it and a whole bunch, you don't talk about it. I'm not rich either, even though people think you are. Like, I don't feel rich. But you've got to talk about it for you to understand it and not make it some scary thing in the background and nobody can know how much money I make and nobody can know how much I spent. Well, they can't do anything with it. Just do your thing.
Because it's absolutely, I think, and part of it, they're embarrassed. That's why I'm open with them about my numbers. There's nothing extra going on here. You can do it. Just like when I bought my first house, there's nothing extra going on here. We're all in the same boat. We have our first jobs. It's priorities. No, I'm not the kind of person that shops a lot. So maybe that's the difference. I can't stand shopping. It's just not my thing. My husband is the shopper in the family. Well, he has these man stores that I call them. And he goes into.
Didn't you be there for a long time? Is he a walk around the store? And my daughter's a try on everything in the store. And I was like, yeah, no. I'm coming in here for something. I want to find it and I want to get out.
That part, that is me. Okay, I need this. This is the only reason I'm over here with these people standing in this line. That is so not me. So yeah, I will buy a building before you put me in a mall. I'm just not doing it.
So we just shop differently. Like, let me go look and see what I can buy that's going to bring us some money so you can go do that thing over there that you like to do. I like it.
The shirt was a test online order. I said, okay, let me see how these online orders work. I'll go to Quest and buy a shirt online. And it came back a size 2, like a small size too small. I said, I'm not sending it back. I'm just going to lose weight. So
the way I've done that, just like we're getting off, I found a company and I found that I like their clothes and I know what size to buy in their clothes. And I buy most of my stuff from this one company. And then if I'm going to buy something else, I'm going to their clothes are pretty conservative. Like this t-shirt is from them. And so it's got not a lot of color, but this is the basic stuff. Now I can get a colorful jacket to put on it. And that color is going to be out of style next year anyway. So then that's the throwaway clothes. But I got a lot of clothes that I'm keeping for a long time because I spent money on them because I like them. Anyway.
It's beautiful in blue, so get the blue.
Say again.
Blue shirt, you look beautiful in blue, so that's the color to keep.
It's black, actually. I'm glad it looks blue. Okay.
Let me put my glasses on. It looks blue.
All right. So tell everybody again how to get in touch with you so they can get on your list. Talk about the LinkedIn again, your website, and any other information people need to know to be able to find you.
Yes. So I am so excited to talk to everyone about the new LaVilla, my development project here in Jacksonville, Florida, in a historically Black district. It is a crowdfunding, commercial real estate crowdfunding campaign to raise funding for a new co-working space and entrepreneurship center. The website is up. There's some minor tweaks that are still happening, but it is absolutely live where you can go in, get information about who we are, what it is we're doing, look at renderings of the building. And if you want to become a co-working member in advance, you can also purchase a co-working membership. The site is thenewlavilla.com, THENEWLAVILLA.com. And the LinkedIn page is linkedin.in/thenewlavilla. And then, of course, my page is Dr. V. Brooks Dunbar.
Say that again. It cut out a little bit. Dr. V.
Yeah, my LinkedIn page is Dr. V. Brooks Dunbar or /Dr. Dunbar, DRDUNBAR.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm a doctor of business, so I save businesses, not people. Just to put that out there.
You didn't even say that. Thank you so much. Because people are probably wondering, what kind of doctor is she? See people not paying attention, trying to figure out what kind of doctor you are.
Yeah, it was a good year for me. We helped a lot of businesses to pivot and to stay in business. We had a spread of 40% Black businesses closing during that time. So we were all in to make sure that didn't happen.
When people go to the website, can they sign up to get more information or how does that work?
There's a newsletter subscription button there and a contact form.
Okay.
So definitely subscribe to the newsletter. We'll be sending information out. Right now, we're just getting ahead, posting to the blog because we can't really talk about the campaign. So we're trying to just work around just talking about wealth in general. And
Right.
so you'll sign up for the newsletter and get the blog and other information that we're sending out.
Okay. I'm excited to read. I did get one of your newsletters and I was like, I flagged it and haven't gone back to read it yet. So I'm excited to read that series that you've got coming out. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been fun for me. I've enjoyed this conversation a lot, getting to know you a little bit better and finding out how you got to where you are and what you're doing. I'm excited about that. All you people out there listening, go check it out. I think there's some exciting things are happening everywhere. Good, exciting, bad, exciting. All the excitement's happening. This is good, exciting. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.